whisked away and arrested immediately. You know, I think a lot of people would think what she did was courageous in terms of getting her issue heard. Now, there's clearly a balance here.
I got to tell you,
but
impeding a Columbus Day parade is not the same as standing up to modern day segregation.
Well, there's a lot of issues that people are very passionate about these days.
People can break the law for whatever reasons make them feel good. I don't care about that. I care about a good police response. I've heard from both of you that you believe that the police over-respond. You said you've been falsely arrested and you're worried about false arrests. Let's talk about that briefly. What are you worried about?
Well, I should say, you know, I've actually been meeting with Denver police, and they have been very open to having a channel of communication. And, you know, generally, I think, you know, they realize there is a First Amendment, and they want to allow people to be out there to speak. But, for instance, they've been trying to push a new law which would outlaw carabiners and chains and things like that in Denver if police believe that those individuals have an intent to chain themselves up to a bus. Now, is it a good idea for someone to chain themselves up to a bus? Probably not. But the fact that they're pushing for a broad law like that, something that would outlaw anyone with a bike chain, when half the state, of course, are bicyclists, I think is indicative of the fact.
Not half the state. I can't take the ones that are already here.
Well, you know, maybe we need more bike lanes, but that's another day.
I think I ought to have a protest for bike lanes. Yeah, so, all right, let's go to someplace else. So you're worried about, all right, that's a wonderful law, but what are you worried about for false arrest? What are you worried about at the time? Well, and by the way, I would agree with you. I don't think we should have a law saying you can't carry legal objects, no matter what those legal objects are. So what's your beef?
Well, you can just look back, you know, for instance, in New York 4 years ago, the police, you know, arrested massive amounts of people and did so preemptively. Those individuals, by and large, were not breaking any laws at all. And that's not the sort of thing we want to see here. So, you know, if you look back at the Denver police, at the Transform Columbus Day issues and so forth, they have been a little heavy-handed with protesters at times. So that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be this time, and it's positive that we have a channel of communication with them.
I want, as soon as somebody jumps into the street to stop traffic, I want them whisked away.
Okay.
Now, I don't want a big drama there. I know what protesters want is to be chained to something and have the cameras there as they're turned limp and pulled away. What are you worried about the cops doing?
I'm worried about preemptive arrests. I'm worried about
preemptive arrest?
It's arrests that they make typically a lot of times before some of the bigger demonstrations start. Maybe there will be, typically has happened in the past, there will be a normal demonstration at some place, 200, 400 people, and they'll be acting lawfully, as they do every couple times a year in Denver, and they'll get surrounded and arrested for no particular cause. None of those cases will survive court. And this happens over and over again, and it tends to frighten people from coming to express their right to free speech, whether they were intending to do civil disobedience or not. I think most importantly, the ones who weren't are worried because here's an arrest that clearly had no foundation. Why would you come to Denver if the Denver police are making those kinds of arrests? And it happens in these mass actions after mass actions. I was arrested for no cause before a mass action in Miami. And it hit the papers, and the article in the paper was clear that the police had no cause to arrest me. And the court later proved it as well.
Let me go back to my original example.
So it scares people.
Now that we've got tent city, or was it tent state coming here, they want to stay in the parks. We've had Recreate 68 making some claims about this. We've got, I forget what the group that says they want to disrupt everything. If you guys stay in the park, or somebody stays in the park, will you all agree with me that it's the police's job to arrest them and take them away? Notice the awkward silence. Well, it's against the law to stay in the park after 11 o'clock. Somebody's breaking the law.
Yeah.
Isn't it the police's responsibility to arrest them
I would say this is a special circumstance, and we have tens of thousands of people who are coming here to express their thoughts on political speech, to get out there and speak their minds.
So because there's a lot of people who want to break a law, that's a special circumstance? So the guy who was sleeping in the park last night gets arrested, but if he sleeps in the park during the DNC, he won't be?
Well,
that's not consistent.
They want to sleep in City Park, and it's not, you know, Walmart Blockbuster Park. This is a park of the people, and I think for this special event, they should allow individuals to camp there because they have nowhere else to stay, and they can be part of the democratic process.
There's no place else to stay in the entire city.
Many of these,
all right, so they break the law. Will you agree that they need to be arrested? And your answer is no.
I don't think they should be arrested for camping in a park. No.
They're breaking the law. Should they be escorted out of the park?
In this case, no.
All right. Over here?
I think they should stay.
Because?
I don't think
It's against the law. How about we change the law first, and if that's the law that you can stay overnight, you know, these people are coming in knowing.
This is how you start that process.
That's how you start the process, by breaking the law. I remember that whole, Schoolhouse Rock when I was a kid. You know, I'm a bill, only a bill. I always thought you talked and tried to change the law by going through the channels instead of just breaking the law.
Well, there's a long tradition of you go through the channels and the channels don't work and then you break the law.
I know you romanticize this idea of breaking laws as a way of great change.
I don't think it's romantic. It's a really horrible experience. So, you know, don't say it's romantic.
Oh, I think it's very romantic. I think there are a lot of people out there who live for this type of protest. I think it's part of their hobby. I think it's part of what they want to do as identifying themselves.
I don't know anybody who breaks the law as a hobby, and I know a lot of protesters.
And what is the one thing that the DNC could do that would get all the protesters to calm down and not do what they want to do?
Well, there's an offer on the table today, as we tape this. Unconventional Action, I think is the name of the group, have offered that if that $50 million security budget would be put into the communities of Denver that need it, that they'll call off their demonstrations.
So in other words, you don't buy the tear gas, we won't cause any trouble.
You help the community with the community's money and we won't cause any trouble.
So in other words, it's a bit of a shakedown, a little protection. I tell you what, you put the money where we think you ought to put the money, we won't cause any problems, we won't break any windows. That's a shakedown, isn't it?
I wouldn't call it that.
I'm sure you would. All right, got a minute left. What should people know? Where should they go?
Sure. So, yeah, I'd encourage people to check out the People's Law Project. Our website is www.dnc-plp, and we're looking for attorneys, legal workers, volunteers, anyone that's interested in making sure free speech rights are protected at this historic event, to please get in touch. We're going to be doing trainings for the next month for people that may choose to demonstrate or people that want to be legal observers.
And what's the one thing that the uninformed public needs to be informed of? What is it that they're missing?
Well, I think this is a historic opportunity. You know, you should get out there and say your mind, or say your piece, speak your mind, and be heard. And so, get in touch with us, and we'll try to plug you in.
From the demonstrators, what do you want people to know? Where should they go?
I think they should go to all the activist resources. Start at Recreate 68, even though I know people hate that name, and see what you can discover. Come to Denver. It's a historic opportunity, as Brian mentioned, to express what you think our country ought to have different.
But if the city spends $50 million into the city,
of social change,
then there won't be any trouble.
I usually see that if the security budget is high, the police brutality will be high.
I think it's the other way around. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate being here. Tell a friend about the Independence Institute. Look at us at independenceinstitute.org. Listen for me late nights on 850 KOA. Tell a friend. We'll see you next week.
You jab a jab, bamboozle, nuka, noozle, bippity bop, she called. You jab a jab, bamboozle, nuka, noozle, bippity bop, she called. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off.